Welcome back to the show, or channel, whatever you guys want to call this. But, new what is, I'm gonna do an update real quick. First of all, happy New Year's. Finally 2021. If things happened to you during this year, I'm sorry, but let's try to change it this year. So yeah, 2021. First video of it. So, let's begin. This is gonna be called, What If Deku? Well, it's hard to explain. I guess I could call it What If Deku had a demon quirk, I guess. I was thinking calling it Ravenger, but it's kind of weird to call it Ravenger. Yeah, let's just say, what if Deku... Pretty much Deku's gonna have a Demon Cane's power, so I'm gonna probably call this Demon Cane. What if Deku is a Demon Cane? Yeah, that sounds better. So yeah, let's begin. And this is what he's gonna look like, just so you know. In the beginning, Deku had black eyes, his hair was black. Really, everyone just... Inko didn't know if he had a quirk or not. But Inko did one day before, let's say, they went to the, what is it called, quirk doctor, like a week before. Izuku used something dark. It looked like black lightning. Inko thinks it's black lightning. So, she thinks that her son has a black lightning quirk. But she didn't know where he got it from, though. So, sorry. And they went to the quirk doctor, and he said, your son doesn't have a quirk. And Inko and Midoriya were confused. And then they told him what happened. And he's like, huh, that's weird. And he says, Midoriya, can you show me your black lightning? And he says, yes. And he didn't even take a step, but all of a sudden, he teleported toward him. And Izuku was confused. He didn't know what he did. The doctor was in shock. Inko was in shock. They are all just shocked. Then he says, can you show me your black lightning? And he says, yes. And he shows black lightning. And then he says, weird. So so now he's talking to himself. He's like, okay, so Inko Midoriya, your son looks like he might just have something else instead of powers, or instead of a quirk. We don't know if it's stronger than quirks, though. And then Izuku and then you saw Izuku's hands in fire. It was like some blue type fire. If that time I got reincarnated as a slime, that's the kind of fire I'm using. If you have not seen it, just look up, what if I was reincarnated as a slime? Fire, I think, I don't know. But yeah, it was some type of fire, and he says, I'm gonna call this Hell Flame. I might do a what if Deku was the slime. That'll be fun. Yeah, I should probably do that soon. I'm sad that the show ended, I think. Who cares? Sorry. I ramble a lot. Where was I? Yeah. And they looked, and they were just amazed about that, too. And then, let's say it took a month. And Bakugo kind of thought he just had a quirk, because Deku usually just used black lightning around people. He never showed anything else. And one day, and they pretty much came up with that Izuku is something else. They don't think he's human. And the doctor was just doesn't know what to do, because this is going to be the exact same doctor that was that worked for, I don't know if you guys knew this or not. If you did not know this, sorry, spoilers. Hold on, I'm trying to do something. God, why is it not working? Who cares? Where was I? That they just thought that he wasn't human. And oh yeah, this is the doctor that still was working for One for All. So yeah, he doesn't know what he's gonna tell One for All about this. Or yeah, no, he's not gonna tell All for One. Yeah. So let's say that Deku and Inko moved for a little bit. They moved to some. Let's say they moved to America for a little bit. So now Izuku is 15 because I'm gonna make this school a college. And Izuku's been close to Inko, and he's very protective about people. Deku's very smart in this, and a lot of girls hit on him because how he looks. He usually just wears what you see in the photo. And he noticed that he has black mist, so he uses that time to time also. He noticed that he has a lot of things that he could do. And let's say one night before, because let's say Inko told him that they were going back to Japan. And it was the last day of school for them, and he was about to pretty much graduate, let's say. And yeah. But the night after that, he woke up in some place. He didn't know where he was. And then he saw a figure. A figure that he never really knew what it was entirely. But he said, "Hello, sir." He says, "Who are you?" And he got pulled out black lightning. And he says, "You've gotten really strong, sir." And he says, "Why do you keep calling me sir?" He's like, "Oh, you never knew yet, huh? Well, your father was a demon king." And he's like, "Wait, what are you talking about?" He says, "Well, your father is a demon lord, king, emperor, whatever you want to call him, really. Pretty much what he is he's just a very powerful demon. And you are now the demon. Well, since he sadly has left, well, he's still there, and he told me to talk to you." He says, "Well, where am I anyways?" Because Deku's just in this dark area, or dark room. He says, "This is your mindscape. You could enter this whenever, but I will be pretty much your servant. Or, however you want to call me, butler, slave, whatever. I rule under you." He says, "I'll call you my butler. So, what's your name?" And he says, "Well, us demons don't really have names. You can name me if you want, but if you name me, I do get stronger, and you do lose some mana." And he says, "Mana, I'm guessing, is what my magic is, I'm guessing?" And he says, "Yes." He says, "You are very strong, and people might try to kill you." And he says, "I'll deal with it." And he says, and let's say he says, "Well, your name's gonna be," let me think. Here, give me a second. I'll think about it. Wait, where the hell? Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry, but I guess let's call him Jeffrey. Yeah, come here, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, can you hear me? Yeah, that sounds good. So it's gonna be Jeffrey. And Deku has a voice like this. He talks in a nice manner voice. He doesn't really know. And he doesn't really question Jeffrey that much. And Inko, and let's say he was late to school, and he ran. Well, he used his teleport ability, but then when he got in front of the school, he ran because no one knew about his teleport ability. They only knew about his black lightning, and the teacher said, "You're late, Midoriya." He says, "Sorry." He says, "I overslept," and she's like, "It's okay. Just please sit down, and we gotta talk about where." And she says, "So, you're going back to Japan, I heard from your mother?" And he said, "Yes, but I will be graduating here, though." And she says, "Oh, that's great." And he says, "Yes, very great." And Bakugo hasn't seen him in a long time. pretty much Bakugo kind of forgot about Midoriya. He didn't really know what Midoriya would look like in the future. So, yeah. And let's say it's the last week of school. Yeah. If I said it was the last day, no, it's the last week, okay? And Midoriya was usually had his phone, was walking, and he had a pretty good friend group, right? And some of his friends said, well, we're moving to Japan. Maybe what hero school are you going to in Japan? He says, I'm going to hit for UA. And they're like, oh, maybe we should try to hit with you too. He says, yeah, it would be nice. And he's like, yeah, it would be nice to have some people that I knew in that school. And they're like, yeah. And they're thinking, oh, and we'll probably be all in the same school because it's college, you know? He's like, yeah, well, catch you up with you guys later. And in this, since he's in America still, he was just walking and attack happened. And this attacker had a weird quirk, let's say. This quirk is, let's say, he had a mutant quirk. And the mutant quirk was that he was kind of a frog-ish type thing in a way. It was just weird, okay? And he could take over people's bodies pretty much. And it was kind of like a slime. Let's say, let's just say it was a rubber. Like he could cover people in rubber. And he could control them. And he said, come here, kid. And Deku's like, no. And he snapped. And all you see is blood. He got a little drop and said, recover. He came back to life and he said, what the hell, kid? What the fuck did you do? And he snapped again, recover. And he's like, stop, please, stop. He said, are you done yet? He says, yes, I'll turn myself in. And he says, good. But just one more time for fun. Snapped. Recover. He's like, and let's say a hero from them, they're not important into the story, said, thank you, kid. He says, yeah. And he says, and the hero's thinking in the head, what the hell did this kid do to him? Because you can see the criminal shooken badly. And he says, okay, well, I gotta go. And walks off. And now it's the last days. And let's say the night before the last day, he went into his mindscape. And you see Jeffrey. Right? And Jeffrey said, hello, sir. What did you come here for? He said, I want to talk about my abilities. How powerful can they be against regular humans? And Jeffrey says, well, since there's people that have different types of abilities, I could work with you here. And he says, okay, well, let's get to work, I guess. He says, okay. And Jeffrey and him make a device that no one could see except for them and other demons. And he could put it in his ear, and it's pretty much like you tap on it, you know those things that sometimes people have there in their ears where they can talk to people? It's like that. And no one else could see it unless they're a demon. So, yeah. He says, I'll be able to talk through this. He says, oh, okay. Do you know where my father is, though? And he says, yes, your father actually came back. Pretty much you're second in hand, but you're kind of are the Demon King, in a way. He's like, no, okay. He says, so how many people respect me in down there? He says, quite a bit. But some people I've seen try to mock you, and I killed them. He says, huh, good, Jeffrey. Well, I gotta go. Nice talking to you. I'll talk to you later. He says, okay, sir. I'll be here waiting. Or, I'll talk to you whenever. And he left the mindscape, and when he woke up, he felt his ear, and he noticed that there's something. He walked downstairs, and his mother said, okay, have a good day, and have you packed your stuff? And he said, yes, I have. Because they're going to leave, let's say, like a month after graduation. Because it's still going to be like a 10-month thing. Right? for the entrance exam. And his friends are gonna be... Wait, hold up, what's this? Okay, give me a second. Okay, so I couldn't find these characters' names, but I'm gonna use them. So it's pretty much these people are behind this guy are going to that school. Okay, so the boy and the 4 girls, and that's like his closest friends. So the last day, they talk about where they want to go for their college to be a hero, and you had Midoriya. And everyone knew that Midoriya was the strongest. Some kids thought they were stronger, and they usually try to mess with him, but he usually messes with them. So he's kind of a little punk in this a little. And he says, Midoriya, they say, Izuku Midoriya, school in Japan. And some people went, sadly. And they're like, aw. And they said, well, hopefully, and some people are like, hopefully we could still work with you. He's like, yeah, hopefully. Yue, right? He says yes. And she also names off the other people. The girl that is blonde right here, we're gonna call her Ryu. Let's just say the teacher just says Ryu. Yue in Japan. Yue in Japan. Frederick in Yue in Japan. Allison in Yue. And Sophia in Yue. If you guys want one of the girls to be the ship, just so you know, please comment down below, or one of the original MHA. Maybe this one I'll do multiple ships, like together. Just, if you need to read back into the video, just remember to go back into the video and remember their names. So yes, enjoy. Let's get back into it, shall we? And she names off some other people. Or, she just names off the rest of the class. And now, since that they just ended class, they start walking out, but Deku got harassed by 2 people. And these other 2 people had hardening quirks, so they went for a punch. They hit Deku, and Deku went, nice try. And he used lightning. He said, black lightning. And he snapped, and it just shocked them. It came down from nowhere and hit them from under. And that's how it is. And they ran off because they didn't care. They just walked off. And Deku separated, and he saw his mom, and she said, well, we're going early if that's okay with you. And he said, oh, yeah, just let me go call my friends real quick, and I'll tell them that I'm already leaving. We kind of planned that we'll all leave together. She's like, oh, I'm sorry, but we gotta go now. And he's like, what's up? And she says, well, they're trying to sell the apartment that I bought. And let's say that they're actually pretty wealthy in this, okay? So they're actually pretty wealthy. And she's like, well, they're trying to get rid of the apartment that I just bought for us. And he's like, oh, well, it's okay. Can't we just buy another one? She's like, well, that's the only one that's available near your school or the college. He's like, it's okay. He's like, oh, okay. And yeah. Hold up, I need to do something real quick. I'll be right back. And I'm back. Okay, so let's get back into it. Sorry about that. And Deku called his friends and told them, and they're like, oh, okay then. We'll see you there then. And he's like, yeah, our apartment, people are trying to outbid us for our apartment. And whoever owns the apartment is about to make some money. And they're like, yeah. But they get to Japan, and they had an argument with the other people. And let's say the other people that were trying to get theirs was the Yarotsus. So Momo. He met Momo kind of early. Well, he did meet Momo early. Because he was pretty much just, I gotta come here just in case things get out of hand. And Yarotsu, or Momo, was just there because they just thought that they were going to get outbidden. So they made an agreement that that there was another room that was pretty much on the first floor where elderly were, and the Midoriya's got it, and he was pretty okay. Inko was okay with it. And they just said, and then everyone looked at the person that owns it and said, "Why didn't you just tell us that there is another room? That would have made things easier." And yeah, and they said they apologized to each other about that incident because they could have avoided it. But the person did not pretty much allow them, kind of in a way. So yeah, they moved in, and Deku noticed that he's kind of scrawny, so he started working out, and let's say 5 months passed, so pretty much let's say no, yeah, 5 months, and it's half time, and he already signed in to get into to try the entrance exam and everything. So yeah, and let's say his first friend came, and it was Frederick. I kind of forgot some of the names already. I know that's Ryu, Yui, Frederick. Oh, yeah, Allison, and then Sophia. Yeah, what the hell? I gotta probably have to write those down. Unless you guys want to remind me in the comments. Thank you very much. That would be very nice. So, yeah. And let's say Frederick met up with him, and they were just walking, and they encountered a person that was scrawny. And it's pretty much All Might in the debuff form. And they saw All Might carrying groceries to his truck, but he dropped some, but he couldn't grab them all. So he was kind of dropping things, and he was trying to pick them up. Izuku and Frederick came over and said, "Do you want some help, sir?" And he says, "Yes, thank you very much." They both help him, and they said, "Well, there you go, sir. Do you need anything else?" And he says, "Here, let me pay you." And they say, "No, it's okay. Keep your money." And he's like, "Are you sure?" And he says, "Yeah, we're just helping." And he says, "Okay, thank you. Have a good day." And he says, and Zuku says, "Have a good day also." So does Frederick. And they just keep walking off. And yeah, they split up because Izuku had to head back home, and Frederick also did too, because they still were unpacking. So yeah. And let's say that Jerry, yeah, I think his name was Jerry. Gosh dang it, I already forgot his name. Jerry. Yeah, Jerry. I think it was Jerry. And Jerry said, "Sir, come in." And Izuki says, "Yes, Jerry." And he says, "We have a problem." And he says, "What?" "And around you, I could feel aura that there's another demon around." And he says, "I see. Where should we go?" He says, "Go into that alleyway that's near you. The nearest alleyway to you." And he says, "Gotcha." And they went to a near alleyway, and let's say a person followed them. And he says, "Hello, my lord." And Izuku says, "So, why are you following me?" And he says, "I'm here to kill you." And out of nowhere, you see fire. No one else kind of notices this, but you see hell flames, or just some red flame come at him. And it was like a sharp, so it could cut things. So let's say it cut through a trash can. But Izuku just put his hand out, and it disintegrated. And he was like, "Wait, what the?" He didn't know what was going on. So he tried again and again. But Izuku just kept have his hand out, and then he said, "My turn." He teleported and snapped. Death. He says, "Recover." And he says, "What the hell? What the fuck?" And he did the exact same thing to him. And Jerry said, "Do you want him to live, sir?" And he says, "Yeah. He'll know who to not mess with." And he said, "Recover," for the last time. And he says, Are you gonna keep messing around with me?" Because he says, "I'm not even using my max yet." And he just says, "Yes, I'm done. I'm sorry, my lord. I'm sorry." He says, "Good. Don't mess with me nor my family again. Or if I see you mess around with my friends, I'll kill you and not revive you again. Do you understand? And the man just sees off Deku an aura that you never want to see. A deadly aura. And he ran off. And in the alleyway, you just see blood. And let's say that there was blood on Izuku's cheek, and he noticed it. And you said, I don't have anything to wipe this off with. And Frederick said, oh, here you go. And out of nowhere, a cloth came out. He says, so can you do this? He's like, yes. Since I'm here in your mindscape, I could leave whenever. I could help you and aid in battle. But since I'm in here, the only thing I could do is really give you things. So I'm like your own little arsenal. He says, nice to know. He says, well, thank you. And yeah, he heads back home and he talks to Inko. Inko's just unpacking things and she says, oh, you're home. Would you help me with this? And let's say they were moving in like a fridge. And he says, yeah, sorry, I was gone. I was just talking to Frederick. And she's like, oh, he's here now? She's like, oh, is he back? Is he here now? And he says, yeah. And they're just having a nice conversation. And Izuku said, I could invite their family over for dinner if you want. And she says, yes, that would be lovely. And he calls up Frederick, and Frederick said, oh, I was about to call you. He says, oh, is that so? And he's like, yeah. My family was wondering if you... And Izuku, before Frederick, said, hey, my family my mother said that you guys could come over for dinner. And Frederick says, huh, funny. My parents said that you guys could come over. And he says, huh, well, you guys want to come over? And Frederick says, yeah, let me talk to my parents about it. And it took like a minute, and Frederick came back and said, yeah, we'll come over to you. And he says, nice. It's a nice apartment. And they're like, oh, and they're okay with it. And let's say they just got some Chinese food, because why the hell not? You know, Chinese food's delicious as fuck. So yeah, sorry. Where were we? And let's say 2 months pass. Ryu appears now. Ryu, Yui, and Allison and Sophia came together, and they met up with Deku and Frederick, and people noticed that 4 girls just came up to these 2 guys, and some older people were staring at they were staring at the girls, and Deku noticed this and came off with a bloodthirsty aura, and they just stopped. None of his friends really noticed, so yeah. That's how it went. They talked, and they all stayed, and they all worked with each others, and then Deku said, Fred, he said Jerry, and Jerry says, yes, sir. Is it okay if I tell them? And he says, yes. Trust, you could tell whoever, but you must have trust in them. He says, okay, I trust these people very much. And he says, how much do you get? And he's told him, he said, hey guys, come here real quick. And let's say that they were just all very tired. They said, yeah, what's up? And like they're breathing hard. And he says, I got something to tell you. And they come over and he says, what? What's up? He says, I don't know if you guys will believe me. And they're like, but he says, if I tell you this, and it's true, trust me. If I tell you this, will you tell anyone? And they're like, no, we're friends. And he says, okay, thank you. Well, I didn't even know this yet for a while, but I got told this a little bit ago. Like a week before we graduated. And they're like, yeah, what's up? He says, well, I'm a demon. And they're like, wait, are you actually? And they're like, they didn't even say, nah, you stop playing around. And yeah, they believed him, and they're like, huh, that's cool. So what can you do? And he says, oh, you guys actually believe me? And they're like, yeah, unless you're joking. And he's like, good, no. And he says, okay, watch, hell flame. And he just shows them this flame. Then he says, black lightning. And they're like, oh, we've seen that one. And then he started teleporting. And he says, I also have this ability where I could kill people instantly, but use their blood and revive them, pretty much. It's a pretty horrible move, but if someone gets in my way or hurts anyone that I care about will die. Revive them, torture them a little bit, the usual demon stuff. And they're like, please never do that to us. And he's like, I won't, if you guys don't piss me off. They're like, oh god, no. And he says, well, you guys want to meet my butler? And they said, sure. And he says, Jerry, come out. And they're like, Jerry, come, wait, what? And all of a sudden you see an old man come out from behind him, from his shadow, and he says, hello, I am Jerry, and I very much trust you out of the time I've seen you with young sir here. And they all bow down and said, yeah, hello. And they said, yes, please keep our trust, we'll keep our trust with you and everything. So yeah. And they trust him, and Jerry got along with them. Jerry helped them train and everything. So yes. And let's say it's a month before the entrance exam. They're just walking around, and all of a sudden you hear a boom. It's an explosion. And they all rushed over to see what was going on. And they just see a boy getting attacked by a slime. Nezuki thought back in America about that, and he's like, huh, that was not really anything. And let's say okay, hold up, I should probably say this. This is what the his friend's quirks are: flame, ice, water, why not? Earth, dark. So dark, I guess, like shadows, I guess you could say, or something, however you want to say it. So yeah. Yeah. And Yui used ice to freeze the villain. And then then this boy was about to use, you know who it is if you watch the anime. And this boy was about to use the explosion, and then, let's say, Allison used earth to keep his hands closed. And he screamed, what the hell? He's like, and they said, if you do that, you're going to kill him. Or kill the villain. And he's like, oh shit, because he didn't notice that he was frozen. And then Ryu heated it up where he could escape. And the villain was just frozen in place pretty much. And they captured him, and it was a lot quicker. And let's say that the fire was still going out because of Bakugo. And Frederick used his water quirk to fix it, to help the firefighters. And the hero that was like the firefighter, if you know what I'm talking about. So yeah. Yeah. And they say thank you. They praise them. They praise the floor. And they're like, why didn't you two help? And they're like, well, our quirks didn't really help that much. And Izuki says, yeah, mine neither. And they're like, what is it? And he said, Izuki, and fuck. And wait, hold on. Ryu, Yui, Frederick, Allison. Sophia says, well, mine's shadows. I don't think I could have helped that much. And he says, oh, I see. And you, sir? And he says, electricity. Black electricity. Right. And he's like, why are you saying it like that, sir? He's like, just don't mind. Never mind. And he's like, well, you guys good? And let's say this boy yells out, hey, I didn't need your goddamn help, you mother. He's like, I didn't need your help, mother. No, he just said, I didn't need your goddamn help, you extras. And he said, and they're like, well, cool. Peace out. And they just left. And All Might was there, and he was in shock about how these people worked. And he's like, should I give one of these people my quirks? And then he noticed that Izuku and Frederick were there. He's like, huh, so these people know these others. That's interesting. And let's say we're going to time skip to the entrance exam now. And yeah, I'm going to end it there. I might do another one real quick. I don't know for sure, because why not? Should I keep? Yeah, I'm just going to end it here. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this one. So yeah, peace out, and have a wonderful day, night, afternoon, whatever. Peace out.